we're just weeks away at this point from the 2024 presidential election, among all the other elections. But I want to talk presidential elections tonight. Where do you see things now?
They're a lot better for the Democrats than they were about 2 or 3 months ago. It's so hard to sort of assess because there's so many different factors. It's so difficult to sort of know who's going to come out and vote in this election. But if you look at just the polling that's come in the days past the debate, Harris is looking pretty good as far as I can tell. And it's hard to come up with too many things that might change the narrative at this point. But it's sort of, we're in that mode where the Republicans are running on, as much as they sort of tried to not do this, just full on, racist xenophobia hysteria, right? I mean, that's what's going on with Springfield. Illinois is really, I should say Ohio is really like, it's the caravan. It's MS-13. Like, I'm just going back each cycle.
He's bringing out the chestnuts. I mean,
exactly.
I guess from his perspective, if it ain't broke.
Right. No, I mean, well, to be fair, it didn't work for them. Like, the caravan didn't work in the way that they had hoped. MS-13 didn't work. And, it worked for Trump in 2016.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like 2018, 2020, 2022, it didn't do enough. But I mean, I just remember, and I can't remember which cycle it was with the caravan. Maybe this was 2020 or 2018. But you had people in Minnesota who were saying, like, we're worried about our lake houses from these migrants that are coming in this caravan. Like, it was, and then just literally the day after the election, there's no caravan.
Right.
And so we're in that stage of the election, but I just don't know if that's going to be enough for Trump. And frankly, like, the way that JD Vance operates,
is he a liability, or is this all baked into the strategy? Because I think it's too simple. The obvious read is, God, he really keeps screwing up. I'm not sure that's how the voters who are likely to vote for Trump are seeing this.
Well, I think he's a liability, but I also do think it's baked into the strategy. I mean, you can be both, right? Like, there was, I can't even, Sarah Palin had a very sort of, like, there was a specific dynamic that Sarah Palin, I think, added to the race, which was Sarah Palin made sure that it wasn't a total blowout for McCain as much as it was, but it also made it impossible for McCain to win.
Right.
And I think JD Vance may be doing the same thing. Like, I don't know if, like, Donald Trump can get out there in the way that he wants to. And he's sending JD Vance out there to do a lot of the dirty work that I feel like Trump would have been doing himself years ago. But I also do think it's really problematic. I mean, I think, like, look, they had built a strategy around Biden, and JD Vance was part of that strategy. And they're going full hog with it, but it doesn't, I mean.
So if Kamala's the choice 3 months prior, is JD Vance not on the ticket?
I wonder. I wonder. Yeah, I think that maybe they would have made a different decision. Like JD.
I think they go black. I think if you get JD Vance on the ticket to face Biden, with Kamala on the ticket, I think you gotta go with our very heterosexual senator from South Carolina.
I mean, maybe it's hard to imagine that Trump is going to do that, to be honest with you.
You don't think he's that cynical, or you think he's too arrogant to think he needs to?
I think I would say there's a third answer. Like, like, I don't think that Trump would be like, I mean, I think Donald Trump is very racist to his core in a, and I don't think that he would in any circumstance pick a black running mate. I think
Mm,
he might have been able to pick a woman. But like he would have had to have seen some very, very hard data that, that I think this guy is actually, I mean, he's old school racist, I think,
right.
and old school misogynist. I mean, I don't, he's cynical, but he's also, I think he's got enough of that actual hate and stupidity to, sort of make
Right.
that would prevent it. But I don't know that JD Vance would have been the pick. I think there would have been um there could have been a wider circle of people where like maybe a state, there's no evidence that like a pick will help in their home state, but I think JD Vance was like sort of for the Rogan crowd, right? Like he's really out there trying to get, I mean, if you look at like, if you look at the sort of just that Peter Thiel sort of cadre of people that JD Vance represents, where that whole world plays online, I think, Donald Trump Jr. was like, this guy's on every one of my podcasts and they love him. Um, and I think their argument was he's going to get you the God Squad people that Pence got on the ticket, but he's also going to sort of like make it a real, like get, guys on board. And that theoretically would have undercut Biden in
Mm,
some way, right? Because that was Biden's pitch. Like he can hit the union guys. Well, these guys will, undercut that. And I don't think they had to contend. They didn't think they had to contend with any type of like Southern Belt strategy, right? Like when it was Biden, it was going to be Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. That's it. That's where the election's going to come down to, those three states. And they had basically said, there's not going to be a Georgia, there's not going to be a North Carolina, Nevada, Arizona. We may not get there. And now those states are in play too. And Pennsylvania still seems to be the most important state. But
for
there's
sure.
multiple routes, right? Like what she could pick up North Carolina, particularly in the past 24 hours, even more so.
Yes. We're
But,
going to talk about that too. Yeah.
but she could pick up North Carolina, maybe lose Wisconsin, win Pennsylvania, get Michigan, right? Or she could, there's a lot of different sort of ways that can go now. And I don't think JD Vance addresses that. He's just he's radical. I mean, I think he's a lot more radical than people have given him credit for.
No, I think that's right. He's radical and he's smart and he has an actual worldview that he wants to advance, as opposed to Trump, who's sort of, I always say, some people want to run the world, some people want to change the world. Trump just wants to run it, and he's willing to do whatever will get him there.
Yeah.
If it
I don't
brings
even
down
think
Bolton, fine. If it's brings yeah.
I don't even think he wants to run it as much as just like be in charge.
Yes. 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 The actual details of
Exactly.
He's not so into that. So one of the things that makes Kamala Harris's run so potentially interesting is, and Obama did this in 2008, and it's following the Jesse Jackson model from 84 and 88, that is to expand the electorate. I think Kamala Harris's best chance to win this is not necessarily convincing the pre-existing voter to vote for her. I think the people who will, knows who won't. But there seems to be an energy around her that may compel people who otherwise wouldn't even be in the mix to join. And that could end up being the difference. If you get enough of those people in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, maybe now you pull Pennsylvania. If you get enough people there in Durham, maybe now you pull, North Carolina, thinking specifically about those college students and those young folk and those black and brown women, etc.